Hey BookTube, it's Peg, back at the History Shelf. I'm here to do a book haul for I got 6 books from the New York Review of Books Classics. They had one of their last chance winter sales a month or so ago, 50% off, and I found 6 more books that I thought, that were eligible, and I decided I would add these to my growing collection of a fairly decent-sized New York Review of Books, or NYRB Classics selection. I'll have to do a video or just do a bookshelf tour of those one day. They won't even fit on one shelf now. I've got quite a few. But, yeah, so I bought 6 more, 50% off, and I think that should be it for the year. So, having said that, let's dive in. I'll try to read a little synopsis of each book, since I haven't read them yet, and I want to give you a sense of what they're about. Now, this being the history shelf, and that history is my major area of interest when it comes to reading, this was like my first choice, so I'm really looking forward to it. This is The Stalin Front by Gert Ledig, translated, and with an introduction by Michael Hoffman. Very iconic photo. There's a Nazi ring there. Don't mind my glasses. It's 1942 at the Eastern Front. Soldiers crouch in horrible holes in the ground, mingling with corpses. Tunneled beneath a radio mast, German soldiers await the order to blow themselves up. Russian tanks, struggling to break through enemy lines, bogged down in a swamp, while a German runner, bearing messages from headquarters to the front, scrambles desperately from shelter to shelter as he tries to avoid getting caught in the action. Through it all, Russian artillery, the crude but devastatingly effective multiple rocket launcher, known to the Germans as the Stalin organ and to the Russians as Katyusha, rains death upon the struggling troops. Comparable to such masterpieces of war literature as Ernst Junger's Storm of Steel, which is, I think most of you guys are familiar with that one. It's a classic. And another classic, and Eric remarks, All Quiet on the Western Front. The Stalin Front is a harrowing, almost photographic description of violence and devastation, one that brings home the unforgiving reality of total war. Wow, so that one's going to be pretty powerful. It's not too big of a book, but 198 pages, so I picked that one up. Oh yes, so some of the other books that I have acquired from the New York Review of Books, I think I picked up Memoirs of a Revolutionary by Victor Serge, and I read about him in some other books. I think most recently on the Ministry of Truth, the biography of 1984. So I learned a little bit more about Victor Serge. Anyway, I saw this book and I'm like, I'm going to see if I can just get all of his writings. So I'm going to start collecting them. I think I have 2 more books by him to get. This is The Unforgiving Years, Victor Serge. It's introduced by Richard Grieman. So Unforgiving Years is a thrilling and terrifying journey into the disastrous, blazing core of the 20th century. Victor Serge's final novel, here translated into English for the first time, is at once the most ambitious. Let me try that again. Is the most ambitious, bleakest, and most lyrical of this neglected major writer's works. The book is arranged into 4 sections, like the panels of an immense mural or the movements of a symphony. In the first, D, a lifelong revolutionary who has broken with the Communist Party and expects retribution at any moment, flees through the streets of pre-war Paris, haunted by the ghosts of his past and his fears for the future. Part 2 finds D's friend and fellow revolutionary Daria caught up in the defense of a besieged Leningrad, the horrors and heroism of which Serge brings to terrifying life. The third part is set in Germany. On a dangerous assignment behind the lines, Daria finds herself in a city destroyed by both Allied bombing and Nazism, where the populace now confronts the prospect of total defeat. The novel closes in Mexico, in a remote and prodigiously beautiful part of the New World, where Dee and Daria are reunited, hoping that they may at last have escaped the grim reckonings of their modern era. A visionary novel, a political novel, a novel of adventure, passion, and ideas, of despair and, against all odds, of hope. Unforgiving Years is a rediscovered masterpiece by the author of The Case of Comrade Tuleyev. And that is Unforgiving Years by Victor Serge. Kind of fits into my interests with war writings, World War II writings, Communist Party, all those heavy things that I tend to read about. But let me get a drink of water here. Getting a little parched when I'm reading, and I'm tripping over my tongue here. Okay, so this one kind of looked interesting. I do enjoy a good book of essays, and I bought a few of the collected essays of different writers, prominent thinkers, intellectuals that the NYRB Classics have put out. This one was marked down 50%. I have never read this man before, but I thought it sounded interesting, so I'm going to give it a go. And this is Mass Cult and Mid-Cult, Essays Against the American Grain by Dwight MacDonald. Introduction by Louis Menand. So this is an uncompromising contrarian, a passionate polemicist, a man of quick wit and wide learning, an anarchist, a pacifist, and a virtuoso of the slashing phrase. Dwight MacDonald was an indefatigable and indomitable critic of America's susceptibility to well-meaning cultural fakery. All those estimable, eminent, prize-winning works of art that are said to be good and good for you and are not. He dubbed this phenomenon mid-cult. And he attacked it not only on aesthetic, but on political grounds. Mid-cult rendered people complacent and compliant, secure in their common stupidity, but neither happy nor free. Thank you, Goldie. She agreed with me. She just gave a little slap. This new selection of MacDonald's finest essays, assembled by John Summers, the editor of The Baffler, not sure what that is, reintroduces a remarkable American critic and writer. In the era of smart, sexy, and everything indie, MacDonald remains as pertinent and challenging as ever. Mass cult and mid-cult. I'm fascinated by this. There is a, okay, so he's got a chapter in here on Ernest Hemingway. Oh, this is not the same Cousins. Okay, there's a chapter called By Cousins Possessed. Now, being a Civil War amateur historian, I think a light just went out behind me. Maybe not. Okay. I thought he might be referring to Peter Cousins, who is a prominent, he's written several battlefield books on the Chattanooga, the Battle of Tennessee. Anyway, never mind. He's talking about James Gould Cousins, and I don't know who that is. I suspect I will be learning a lot by reading these essays. He's got a chapter on James Agee, A-G-E-E, Agee or Agee, and then a whole big chapter on explaining mass cult and mid-cult. This looks really fun. This one he should probably destroy. The Book of the Millennium Club. Oh, yes, he's going to go into the great books. You remember, I don't know if many of you watched some of my videos from the beginning, but I read a Great Idea at the Time, which was about the greatest books of the great ideas and and the great books. He's going to take on Mortimer Adler here and just destroy, I think. Oh, this is going to be good. So yeah, this is a book of essays, Dwight MacDonald, Mass Cult and Mid-Cult. Next book is another one I've not read, but I have seen it referenced in other books, other places, and it was written in 1937. All right, this is, look good artwork in them. Ooh. In parenthesis. By David Jones. Foreword by W.S. Merwin. All right, so let's give a little synopsis here. Um, this writing has to do with some things I saw, felt, and was part of. With quiet modesty, David Jones begins a work that is among the most powerful imaginative efforts to grapple with the carnage of the First World War. A book celebrated by W.B. Yeats and T.S. Eliot as one of the masterpieces of modern literature. Fusing poetry and prose, gutter talk and high music, wartime terror and ancient myth, Jones, who served as an infantryman on the Western Front, presents a picture at once panoramic and intimate of a world of interminable waiting and unforeseen death. And yet throughout he remains alert to the flashes of humanity that light up the wasteland of war. Yes, so I have heard this book mentioned in a lot of the World War I reading that I do. Maybe not as popular as Goodbye to All That by Robert Graves, Poetry of Sassoon, Wilfred Owen, but this is, I've got to have this one too for my World War I collection and library of memoirs, war memoirs, and fascinating. On sale. Not a very large book, but that's good. Very nice artwork throughout. I'm very intrigued by that. So I showed you the artwork in the beginning, and they close at the end with, maybe he must have drawn this. Yeah. Wow. Hellish right there. All right. 2 more books to go. I'm trying to remember. I think I know where I first heard of this book. I think it was off of Better Than Food. Goldie? You know, I get started and they want my attention. That's just what happens. Do you want to come up? Come on. Oh, we have an unannounced visitor, everybody. It's Goldie on the history shelf. Hi. Yeah? Yeah? Tell me secrets? You want to tell them about this book? No, she's very quiet. But she needs me tonight. I don't know, she's being needy. Dogs kept me up all night. Rather exhausted. But you were good. You slept throughout the night. The other 2 were just all over the place. Yes. All right. This is, let me see if I can get this in here. Hard Rain Falling by Don Carpenter. Introduction by George Pelecanos. And I think I heard about this book from Better Than Food's channel. Or it might have been, I think it might have been. Anyway, either way, I am intrigued. I want to check this out. Here's a synopsis. Don Carpenter's Hard Rain Falling is a tough-as-nails account of being down and out, but never down for good. Kick it down. A Dostoevskian tale of crime, punishment, and the pursuit of an ever-elusive redemption. The novel follows the adventures of Jack Lovett, an orphan teenager living off his wits in the flea-bag hotels and seedy pool halls of Portland, Oregon. Jack befriends Billy Lansing, a young black runaway and pool hustler extraordinaire. A heist gone wrong gets Jack sent to reform school, from which he emerges embittered by abuse and solitary confinement. In the meantime, Billy has joined the middle class, married, fathered a son, acquired a business, and a mistress. But neither Jack nor Billy can escape their troubled pasts, and they will meet again in San Quentin before their strange double drama comes to a violent and revelatory end. So I just thought, another booktuber had recommended it, and it was marked down, and it's kind of a different type of novel for me. And I thought, you know what, I want to give it a try. So, yeah. Let me know if you guys have read this book. Let me know what you think. Okay, so the final book. This one's a bit more of a chunkster. About 500 pages. I guess it's a history in a way. Definitely a study of... Yeah, all right. Well, this is When the World Spoke French. I'll get that in there. By Mark Fumaroli. Translated by Richard Howard. As you can see, that one's a bit thicker. Okay, so during the 18th century, French culture set the standard for all of Europe. Among kings and queens, diplomats, military leaders, writers, aristocrats, and artists, French was the universal language of politics and intellectual life. When the World Spoke French, Mark Fumaroli presents a gallery of portraits of Europeans and Americans who conversed and corresponded in French, along with excerpts from their letters or other writings. Their stories are testaments to the appeal of that famous sweetness of life nourished by France in its language. So I thought this would be interesting. It has like a little selection. You got some great letters. I love reading letters. Does anyone else out there miss reading like letter collections? Does anyone out there miss writing letters, receiving letters? I know that must seem crazy to many of you who are beneath a certain age. But I remember when I had pen pals and I loved getting letters in the mail and conversing by letters. When I was in the military, I wrote letters from boot camp. I got mail call was the highlight of everyone's week. And it's just like, it just seems like such a lost art. I love reading letters, especially from like the early 20th century and before then. I mean, going back to, back into whenever people wrote letters, during the Enlightenment, during the American Revolution. I mean, just miss it. So I feel like this would be a nice tonic, as it were, to my just overly over all of the email and electronics. And I actually make sure that I keep writing so that my handwriting stays in good shape, because I love just the act of writing. I think I saw something on TV where someone didn't know how to. It was like a millennial maybe, or someone who was in their 20s or something, and or younger. They couldn't read cursive writing. They were like, what is this? And I was blown away. I was like, are you kidding me? So I guess they don't really teach cursive writing anymore. Be still, my heart. Okay, so yeah, let me know if you guys miss letters. I'd like to add to my letters collection, but anyway, I've got some anxious dogs over here. If you see me looking this way, I guess it's dinner time. They need something. I gotta go. This is my last of the year New York Review of Books haul. I will try to get them all on one shelf, or two shelves, shelf and a half, and show you guys what it looks like. I love the color coding on these spines. It's just so beautiful. Every book has a different color. But let me know what you think. Let me know what kind of books you have from NYRB Classics. And let's keep this combo going, shall we? All right, guys, I will sign off for now. I'll talk to you soon.